Welcome. This is Donica with your latest episode of broadcast of Recapture. On our last broadcast of Recapture, we had a conversation regarding readiness, removing the stigma for having readiness for your family and for your community. Our resident expert Monica Strange was joining us live in the conversation, and some key points that she talked about was being ready during a possible natural disaster, being ready in terms of financial or job loss or employment issue, being having a readiness for financial affairs, being ready in different areas of your life so that when circumstances come where you may need to be ready and prepare yourself, store food items, have money or cash on hand, that there won't be such a stigma to those types of preparedness. She also talked about being ready and readiness in terms of having savings and things of that nature. So we want you to go back and listen to the entire episode of that broadcast of Recapture to get the full details. Monica has been really studying. In some arenas, people call it what we would say, they call it prepping or being a prepper. And there's a large presence on YouTube, I would say specifically, with information, people having their different conversations in different veins on how they view the prepping dynamic. And so Monica has been sharing and has been studying the information also. And so what she did was gave us a take on it. And instead of calling it prepping, she referenced it as being ready. And we all want to be ready because we are protecting our families and our loved ones with protecting ourselves. So we want to have a level of readiness in the event of a disaster or a crisis that may take place. On today's Recapture broadcast, we're going to be talking about something. On a couple of broadcasts, we were talking about things as it related to teenagers, things that are facing children, or specifically, really, things that were facing our teenagers, and how we as parents, auntie, uncles, grandparents, can support them. We offered words of encouragement, and a word of encouragement that came to me specifically was in Ephesians 6:9. Be not weary in doing well, you will reap a harvest if you don't give up. There are a lot of things that jumped out to me for those broadcasts about things facing teenagers. But if we just hold on tight, and one thing we said, if we didn't do everything right, we have to repent for it and move to a different arena and do better. And so that's what I'm taking the challenge for myself, to be a better parent. But today we are talking about we're still talking about children and families. We are going to be talking about for just a few minutes with you black children and black homes and how children are affected by it. I'm going to give you 4 statistics, and then we're going to move directly into my conversation. I'm going solo today, but I have a reason for what I'm doing and where my conversation is going. 85% of Asian children are raised in a home with 2 married parents. For white children, 74% are raised in a 2-parent married home. Hispanics, 61%. And for black children, the statistics said only 36%. Now, when I was reading the data, reading the information, I got this from FamilyStudies.org, and it's fstudies.org on the internet. I thought, wow, they said only, it was like a determinant to me, and they also said the majority of Asian children. So for my take on it, I kind of felt like maybe they should have just say the statistics and give the information. So 85% of Asian kids are living at home with their biological married parents, and 36% of black kids. The data also talked about 44% of black children are being raised in a single mother home, and 8% of black children are being raised by their grandparents. It also talked about cohabitating situations on the data, but for the sake of this broadcast, we won't really discuss that information. I want to talk about, why does it matter? Why does it matter if a child is raised in a one parent or a two parent home? My backstory is that my dad died when I was 9 years old. And the day my dad died, my mother came to the school, and my mom picked us up early from school. I looked out the window and I saw her coming to my class. And so we were dismissed early, and we spent several days away from school as my mother prepared for the funeral. And my dad's, he died during a weekday, but they had the service on a Saturday. So we were out for several days from school. When I went back to school, my classmate was sitting right in front of me. My classmate turned around and he started talking to me, and he said, "Did your dad get shot or stabbed?" And I said, "Well, my dad had cancer." And he said, "Oh, I thought your daddy got shot or stabbed." And he went on to tell me that, and we were both in fourth grade, he went on to tell me a story about his dad and how his dad was murdered, was stabbed in a nightclub. And my twin sister, Monica, she had a similar story. We went back to school and the classmate said, "Did your daddy get stabbed?" And that's a sad commentary, I think, for a lot of black kids. Maybe some children had that experience, that they knew someone that had a parent that had been murdered. My dad was not murdered. He died from illness. So all of my life, I could live with the story that my dad didn't leave, he died. But the truth of the matter is that my dad I was never raised by my dad. I knew my dad. I saw my daddy every day because my dad had businesses and my mom and dad still interacted with each other. So we saw him mostly every day. We saw him often. He was actually in our life, but I was not raised by my dad. So that kind of badge of honor that I carry with me, that my daddy died, the truth of the matter is my daddy didn't raise me. I was raised by my mother. So even though my mom and dad were legally married, I was still raised by my mother. And so there's a conversation at the time of this broadcast. I put the question out to someone in my family who is a well-educated person. Why is this data the case? That I spoke to you, and I said, hey, 36% of black children are raised with the mother and the father. And we can say, why does that matter? What does that look like? Because there's a lot of conversation, there's a lot of arguing going back and forth. There's fathers that say, hey, I pay my child support. I pay my $250 a month. I pay my $500 a month. So I'm in my child's life. You're paying and you're in the child's life, but the data and the research has some information that we're going to discuss. Now, I will tell you, in this family studies that I've been reading these articles for these last few days, I've been reading the census reports. I've been reading studies that says what's in the community affecting children. I've been reading different experts on how these things affect children. So we would say, well, he would say, or a person would say, as long as he's paying the child support, as long as I'm paying the child support, it doesn't matter. This research is even saying blended families is not even having the positive effect as it would if a child was raised by their biological mother and father in a married home. One thing that they said is that children that are raised by both of their parents, their mother and their father, in a married situation, is that the child is less likely to grow up poor. The second conversation is that a child that is raised in a two-parent home is more likely to graduate college. And the third thing, and the dynamic is a little bit different for boys and girls. The third thing is that a boy raised in a two-parent home is less likely to face jail time or go to prison. So that statistic is very startling. 36% of black kids are raised in a home with their mother and their father. And so why do we care? And why does it matter? 36% of black kids are raised in a home with their mother and father. So what? There was a Harvard report. There were some reports being published in the newspaper saying, oh, it don't matter and it don't affect black kids that much. Like black kids don't care that their daddy is or not in their home. That don't make sense. Because some well-versed, a Harvard scholar, I'm just putting that out there, a Harvard education person would say, well, if kids are raised in a two-parent home, it don't matter that much to black kids. Well, I would say the truth of the matter is that black people probably have more adversities to other people and we overcome more things. But there is a significance, there is an importance to a black child being raised in a home with both of their parents. And we just went over 3 reasons why it is important for children to be raised in a two-parent home. Number 1, a child that's raised in a two-parent home with their married parents, they're less likely to be in poverty. And you know what? If one of the people get married and have a step-family situation, it only similarly reduces poverty. In a second marriage, the people still have poverty. So the person who, according to this study, said when they're married to, when the child is raised in a family with their mother and their father, biological parent, they're less likely to be poor. They're more likely to go to college. And for men, they're less likely to go to jail or be in prison. For a girl, she's more likely to be a college graduate. So there's 3 reasons why does it matter. There are 3 primary small reasons or grand reasons that I've given why it's important for children to be raised in a two-parent family. One reason why I discussed this with you specifically because I'm the founder of Patricia Ann Strange Diamond Celebration, and you all know that you can go and subscribe to our Facebook page, which we're going into new arenas. We've been talking about that for several podcast episodes, that we're expanding ourselves, we're expanding our community, and we are expanding our reach. And so that is where we are on today, having that conversation. And so as the founder of Patricia Ann Strange, our mission is to support women with their educational and their developmental goals. Our tagline is celebrating and serving women in recovery from drugs and alcohol. And so when we talk about education, that a woman or a girl who is raised with her mother and father in an intact married relationship, that she is more likely to go to college and graduate than someone who is growing up in a single parent home. All of the nuances, all of those pieces, they go together. And so we're having a conversation about families just as we did before. And we're asking you to go to our Facebook page, Patricia Strange Diamond Celebration. Like our Facebook page, go and subscribe to our YouTube channel. We'll be uploading podcasts and videos soon, but go ahead and subscribe so when the bell rings, get the notifications, and you'll see all the information that we are supporting families. Go to our website and donate, www.psdiamondcelebration.com. We're talking about families, we're talking about students, we're talking about educations. We are supporting a local elementary school, and we have some deliverables to them. We want to shore up our GED scholarship fund. So go and be a part and donate at our website, www.psdiamondcelebration.com. I am Donica. Until next time.